Today's story is Two Little Boys, 10 Big Plagues, written by Carol Craven Bates and illustrated by Jan Church Hopkins. If you would like a copy of this book, there's a link for it in the description. Chapter 9. The days seemed to drag by for Jalen. Since he could no longer go see his friend Miko, he seemed to have a lot of extra time on his hands. It was not safe for him to go to the river and fish either. The only thing Jalen had to help pass the time was his pet lamb. He kept grooming the lamb even though it was highly unlikely they would be having the fall festival this year. It was also no longer safe for Mr. Grossman and the other Hebrew men to leave the Goshen area. They couldn't work. Construction had stopped completely. The Israelites had no way to catch up on what was happening or what was about to happen. The only two men that dared to go near the palace were Moses and Aaron. Those two were in no danger because the Egyptians feared them as much as they did the plagues. To compensate for their lack of information, the men of Goshen started having a bonfire meeting every night right after their evening meal. Moses and Aaron would join the meeting, answer any questions, and let everyone know the latest word from God. One evening, Moses told the group, "The next plague God is about to send on Egypt is a swarm of locusts. Tomorrow, God will send more locusts than anyone has ever seen on earth before. The locusts will eat every green thing that has been left alive in the land of Egypt." The next day, Moses and Aaron marched themselves into the palace. They confronted Pharaoh with the fact that God was about to send a plague of locusts upon the land of Egypt. Unless he came to his senses and let the children of Israel go worship their God, the locusts would come. When Moses was done with his speech, the brothers turned and walked out from Pharaoh. After Moses and Aaron left the palace, things really started buzzing. Pharaoh was enraged by the way he was being treated by those two Hebrews. Not only Pharaoh, but his servants were also clearly distressed. The servants tried their best to talk Pharaoh into letting the Israelites go, but he would not budge. Pharaoh was almost delirious with anger. His servants finally suggested that he let only the Hebrew men go and serve God. The servants were quick to remind Pharaoh of the destruction that had already befallen their country. After Pharaoh had time to calm down, Moses and Aaron were again brought before him. Pharaoh shouted, "Go and serve the Lord your God." With another breath, he demanded, "How many will be going with you?" Moses informed Pharaoh, "Everyone will be going with us, young and old alike." Then Moses added, "We will also be taking our flocks and our herds." Pharaoh shook his head no. Only the men will be allowed to go and serve the Lord. He was finished arguing. Pharaoh raised his hand and had the guards drive Moses and Aaron from his presence. Moses went to the edge of town and lifted up his hand. He held his staff over the land of Egypt. God sent an east wind that blew the rest of that day and all that night. The next morning, the east wind brought the locusts. The insects were everywhere throughout the land, inside the homes and out. There were so many locusts the land was darkened by them. They stayed only on the Egyptian side of Egypt, not crossing into the land of Goshen. As the Hebrew people looked from the land of Goshen to the area across Egypt, it was like looking into a war zone. Everywhere they looked, there was total destruction. Most of the people shook their heads and sighed in anguish. Some cried in sympathy for the hurting Egyptians. It wasn't long before Pharaoh sent an urgent message for Moses and Aaron telling them to come to the palace in haste. When they arrived, Pharaoh was visibly shaken. He lamented, "I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you." Then Pharaoh asked if they would forgive his sin just that once and seek their God that he might remove this last plague. Moses went out from Pharaoh and prayed that God would remove the locusts. The Lord sent a strong west wind, which took away all the locusts and cast them into the Red Sea. As the wind calmed, not one locust remained in all of Egypt. Again, Pharaoh did not keep his promise. He still wouldn't let the children of Israel go worship their God.